Good evening and welcome to our special edition of POLOTIKI, brought to you by News 24. My name is Mahlatse. It's day one of the ANC's National Elective Conference. We've just heard from outgoing President Jacob Zuma, who was a man on the attack as he addressed the ANC conference. He went for everyone: business, media, NGOs, the veterans, alliance partners, the SACP, and also COSATU. But we'll get a little bit into that much later on. First up, we just wanted to get you into what is happening here at the Nasrec Expo Center. It is the battle lines have already been drawn between presidential candidates, Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa and Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma, and we saw the fights already playing out as the delegates started in song. There were songs against Dlamini-Zuma by the Eastern Cape delegates, who were basically saying no matter what happens, they are with Ramaphosa, but also saying that the road is quite hard because in that hard road there is President Jacob Zuma, his wife, and also his son Duduzane. But we also saw the Dlamini-Zuma faction hit him back, and they were singing about unity, but more importantly saying it was time for Dlamini-Zuma to rise. Let's take a listen.
What we are seeing are delegates arriving here at the conference, singing lots of songs. They were warned not to sing about delegates, but that's all we've heard so far. We've heard a lot of people from the Eastern Cape announcing themselves to having arrived in the Eastern Cape, singing about Ramaphosa, saying no matter what happens, we are behind Ramaphosa, and showing the change sign. What we've also seen, though, is what looked like a delegation of the women's group. They passed by, and all you could hear was booing from the Eastern Cape delegation. And then there's another delegation that arrived, also showing a change sign. They kind of greeted each other with that. And now they're singing, this road is tough. It's got Zuma and his wife. These are people who do not want to see NDZ emerge. That's Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma emerge as the ANC's next president.
That was our politics journalist, CD, my dear. They're giving us the lowdown in terms of the battle for the presidency as the delegates were singing in support of their candidates, but, you know, ignoring the ANC rules to say no factional songs. But as you heard there, some very clearly going against the one they don't want to emerge. But we're going to be talking about this with our resident analyst, Mpumelelo Mkhabela and Ralph Mateja. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Mata.
We got the first signs of where this battle is going just from the songs inside plenary, outside here with the delegates arriving. From where I stood, the Dlamini-Zuma camp seemed to have the numbers. Ralph?
Well, indeed, you know, if you listen to the songs and you look at the mood there, how people are actually expressing themselves, and of course, against what was said, even by the national chairperson of the party, saying that people should not invoke those divisive paraphernalia, to actually quote her. It appears to me that you do have voices on either side. I don't know if it's going to come to who sings the loudest, because at the end of the day it has to be about voting and so forth. But you look at this conference, it is just a repeat of what we've seen in the past. It's just a repeat of 2012, the singing and so forth, the psychological warfare. You've seen them, the delegation singing, coming towards the media there. You know, as you've seen the video, the media is almost literally caged away from interacting with the delegation. But there is this interest, appetite by the delegation
to show us,
show
yes,
the media,
yes.
You know, they want attention, and I think they want to express themselves, but they are being told that they shouldn't do that because it is divisive. I don't know if there is any damage to the ANC that can be stopped by stopping people from singing. I think for me, there is nothing you can do about it. Let them sing.
And songs are very key in ANC events. Mpumelelo, you were inside plenary.
Yeah.
How did you gauge it?
Well, it seemed to me that because President Jacob Zuma is known to be supportive of the Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma faction, so when he was on the podium, the people that were clapping and appreciating what he's saying, few as they seem to be, but those were people who belong to the Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma faction. By and large, most of the people they gave Zuma actually a silent reaction.
It was quite silent. Yeah.
So you see these odd claps from time to time, you know, intermittently throughout the speech, and those were the people that it was Northwest and Mpumalanga there and there,
and the Youth League,
and the Youth League,
yeah.
when the Youth League were acknowledged, as well as the Women's League, because
yeah.
he really acknowledged those two organizations, and they happen to be organizations that are backing Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, while castigating the rest, like the military veterans, who obviously are not backing Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma. He had all kinds of words for them. He had all kinds of words for COSATU and the Communist Party. They're not supporting him. So it seems to me that the other camp, the Cyril Ramaphosa camp in that delegation, are actually waiting for one of their own to find a way to be in the podium. And then that's when we're going to see them lighting up. And that's when they're going to show force. At the moment, they had no reason to show anything, because the worst thing they could have done was basically to boo Zuma. So rather than doing that, they decided to rather give him a silent reaction.
Somebody, when I asked them, I WhatsApped them, one of the delegations that are supporting Cyril Ramaphosa, I said, there was not even a song when Cyril actually walked in, and they said, you know, we're deciding to be disciplined and you will see in days to come what happens. But I want us to get into President Jacob Zuma's speech. As we said, he was a man on the attack. Literally, everyone getting shots fired at them. And first, I wanted us to listen to President Jacob Zuma going for the private sector, saying that corruption in the private sector is basically worse than in the public sector.
We need to find ways of protecting the ANC from corporate greed and ensure that the decisions we take are informed by the policies of the ANC and are not dictated to by business interests. Already we have received threats that the ANC will implode and the economy will collapse if certain outcomes arise from this conference. Be it conference resolutions on the economy or the leadership elected, if these are not those favored by business. The ANC has 105 years of experience of managing contestation, which is an internal democratic process. We must build a resilient ANC that can withstand such undue pressure and enable the ANC to conduct its organizational work freely.
That was the President Jacob Zuma. They're basically going out for the private sector. At some point, I remember him during that speech saying that, you know, when they talk about corruption in the private sector, they use softer language. It's not corruption. It's what was the words he was using?
He used the phrase accounting irregularities. He used words such as collusion. And for me, I think he just wanted to mention Steinhoff. He just wanted to mention that. I mean, he's mentioning these accounting irregularities, and he's actually even accusing the media, because what he's saying is that the media is part of this agenda that says the success of one of the candidates, read Dlamini Zuma, it will actually result in implosion of the ANC. He went after members of ANC in parliament who have been asking the right question for the first time in over 20 years regarding accountability. He's saying that they're teaming up with the opposition parties. He's going after members of ANC for going to court. And I think for me, it is the president who's almost saying to people that, you know what, my term is coming to an end, but I'm not done with you yet. I'm going to be a veteran. I'm going to continue doing the work. And I think that today, the political report that we're having, it is not the last we have heard of President Jacob Zuma. It appears to me that in his retirement, it's going to be even more, there will be more sparks flying, because he will not be held by some form of executive etiquette of being nice and kind. It appears to me that he's engaging, getting into another gear. We're going to see a lot of President Jacob Zuma.
So he's not going quietly into the night. But obviously, Mpumi, as he was talking about the ANC defending itself against business, people started whispering, but you're not saying much about state capture.
And in fact, he actually said something about state capture. It's just that we have to scratch the surface of, scratch a little bit and analyze deeper what he actually was saying. He said something about the media being used or working with other people to demonize or something to that effect, to attack South Africa. And then they go up in London, in Washington, and those places. And for me, it seems to me that he was actually referring to all the global investigations that are happening around state capture. We know that the banks in the UK, instigated by Peter Hain, one of the anti-apartheid veterans, working together with the Chancellor of the Exchequer in the UK, they've instigated the banks to actually investigate Gupta accounts that some of them, they cut across in some European countries, including Dubai. And we also know that in Washington, in New York, and the FBI has been actually asked to investigate Gupta money flowing from. So when it talks about the media going global, and you think about it, where has the media gone global? The only story that has gone global recently, that is being pushed by the media, Amapungane, News 24, Scorpio, and other investigative journalists, is actually the story of state capture that has gone global. He doesn't want to say it, but you can see that he's defending. But what he has also done, he has actually mixed the state capture allegations that the media is pushing globally and made it an issue about South Africa being under attack. When actually what people are attacking is state capture. They're isolating state capture, say, rescue South Africa, not attack South Africa, rescue South Africa. What Peter Hain is saying, like, I fought for this country to the way it is. I can't allow money to fly out of the country, while I'm watching. I'll do everything I can. And he says, bring back South Africa's money, take it back. But Zuma says that's a fight against South Africa.
And as we've said, we are desperate here for our own investigative teams to do the work and investigate what is happening around state capture. And in the absence of that, we've seen the international, the other countries overseas doing the work that South Africa should be doing. But I want us to move to another issue, gentlemen, and where he went very strongly against ANC members that are taking the party to court. Let's take a listen.
I think, comrades, we should really discuss this matter seriously and take a very serious decision. It's not in keeping with the customs and policies and everything of the ANC that if you disagree on something, you no longer allow the structures of the organization to address that matter. At a drop of a head, then members are in court. I don't know what it means. I don't know what is our understanding. That is a matter we need to discuss. It is gradually eroding the authority of the ANC. We can't begin to believe that courts are a solution to ANC problems. It's wrong, can't be right, unless it is a matter that the ANC has failed to resolve and you feel very strongly about, then you'll be understood. But you can't treat the courts as part of the structures of the ANC to address internal matters of the ANC. Totally wrong. and I wish this conference will have time to consider that matter and take very serious decisions. I know that in the past we have taken some decisions, and really, those decisions, if we implemented them, would have curbed this sickness. But I think we've been weak in implementing those decisions, because we did say whoever takes the ANC to court must understand that he has declared himself out of the ANC. But we have never implemented it. Perhaps that's a problem that the leadership must accept the blame at all levels. We can't have an organization that is taken to court every day. Somebody who doesn't stay in South Africa and is told that there's corruption in South Africa and we are being taken on other things, they don't know what it is. They might even begin to believe that it means indeed this organization is corrupt. It's wrong. It doesn't put the ANC in a good light. Let us take the decision. If we are satisfied with the decision we have taken before, let us then take a decision to implement. That if the leadership does not implement, then the leadership itself, there must be consequences to the leadership itself. Because you could argue that as branches, we took the decision. We gave you an instrument in your hands. Why are you not using it? I think it is important we deal with this issue so that we are out of course. We deal with the matters within the internal instruments of the ANC.
Gentlemen, you'll agree that President Jacob Zuma at his best when he's off script, but very little on the fact that people are being found to have flouted the ANC guidelines and the ANC constitution, Mpumi?
Well, I actually would sympathize with him if he really was talking about, well, the ANC needs to strengthen its dispute resolution mechanisms internally to prevent members from going to court. But he's not doing that. Actually, he is criticizing the members for going to court, but he's not saying anything about what he as a leader and others have done to make sure that the rules are adhered to, so that there is no incentive for people to go outside. So he's ducking a responsibility there, and that's typical of the entire speech that he gave. So it's other people's problems. It's got nothing to do with him. And sorry, the other problem with what he says is that he seems to suggest that people who take the ANC to court should be expelled or should be deemed to have expelled themselves. And that actually is inconsistent with the Constitution. That's my main concern about what he says, that the Constitutional Court has already ruled that participating in a political party or being a member and participating in its activities, it's not a question of the leadership of that party that, you know, they can grant you the right to do so and withdraw it as they wish. It's actually a constitutional right to join any political party of your choice and be entitled to participate in its activities. If you are denied either of these rights, then that's a violation of the rights which are enshrined in the Bill of Rights. And that was the essence of the struggle against apartheid, that it was a crime to belong to certain political organizations and to participate in their activities. That's what led to the banning of the ANC. You could actually be jailed for a long time for just being a member of the ANC or participating in its activities. So the Bill of Rights sought to correct that, but not just that, but also to give positively the rights to people to do that. Now, to say that people should be expelled if they go to court while trying to actually vindicate their rights, for me, it's actually unconstitutional. So it's advocating for an unconstitutional solution.
We are quickly running out of time, Ralph, but throughout that whole entire speech, no introspection from President Jacob Zuma. He repeats that he has really done nothing wrong.
He failed to even acknowledge that the internal processes of the ANC lack credibility. That's one of the reasons why people go to court. He doesn't want to own up to anything. He carries out a very disturbing diagnosis that always result in him and the leadership of the ANC not having to take responsibility about the state of the party. And he's arguing for a parallel world. The world where ANC members exist and the world where South Africans exist, and different rules for that. Members of ANC are members of the society. When they look around, they see fairness that comes from our constitution. They also want that within their own ANC. And there is nothing wrong with them going to court. Banishing them in that manner, it is at best very disingenuous.
I want us to talk about the fees announcement that he made. When he made it inside plenary there wasn't that enthusiasm that we actually expected, because one of the things people have said was that Zuma announced that he's going to be providing free higher education so that at least he has some good legacy to leave behind.
Well, it's clear that this was a political expedient move on his part to try and whip up emotions. So it was well timed. You announce it in the morning, it gets into the news cycle, it gets digested, all delegates hear about it, and then you come to the plenary, you put it in your last political report. And then you are expecting that by now they would have heard, when I mention it, they will rise and give me a standing ovation.
And nothing.
And they don't do it. And then he calls for it. Now, the way of calling for the applause, for me, demonstrated that actually he had anticipated it. And
he wanted it. He was desperate for it.
Yeah, which revealed his plan indirectly. So when it didn't come, he got frustrated.
You know, we've unfortunately run out of time, but of course, gentlemen, we're going to have you for the whole week here on Polotiki. We are broadcasting tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock until 10, every morning until Wednesday when the ANC's elective conference comes to an end. We're expecting a very, very long night here at the Nasrec Expo Center. We heard earlier that credentials were not ready. The DSG, the Deputy Secretary General, Jesse Duarte, announcing earlier in plenary. So that debate is yet to begin, and we're expecting it will be a very heated one. Nominations for the top 6 were supposed to happen today. We're not sure yet if that will actually continue. But of course, as we've said, join us again on Polotiki tomorrow morning, 9 until 10 a.m., where we bring you the latest from the ANC 54th National Elective Conference. My name is Mahlatse Mahlase.